Hey everybody, this is Augie. I'm the co-host of Queer Book Club. We meet once a month and we have a special guest author with us today, and I have my lovely host, Diva Exit Lamore. Diva, do you want to introduce yourself and then our special guest?
All right, Augie. My name is Diva Exit Lamore. My pronouns are she and they, and I'm grateful to be a co-host because during the month of April, National Poetry Month, we have one of our favorite poets and authors. My favorite book of all time, Carry Me Like Water.
Oh, yay! I love you.
Yes.
I'm so glad.
With the Benjamin, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Benjamin Alire Saenz. My pronouns are he and sometimes we, because I like to think that we are. If I'm always talking about how we're all connected, then the I doesn't make any sense. Only in terms of the we, because we exist only in connection to each other. And my identity doesn't matter if there's if there's no one else around, because I only exist in relationship to others. So I'm thinking about that we thing a lot lately, because I do believe that we make too much of the I, like it's me and all this stuff, and it's not me, it's us. Even the books I publish, it really does take a village. I have an editor, I have an agent, the people who sell the book, everybody is involved in just getting this book into a reader's hands. And when people read, then we become more of a community uh, through the book. That's how I'm connected to my readers. It's sold 1 million copies. So I think that's a big we for me. I'm kind of amazed by my journey in this life.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Diva, did you have some questions you'd like to ask Benjamin?
Now, since you were sharing about the journey of life, do you mind sharing some of your coming out story?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's actually a long and painful story. I never take shortcuts. I was abused when I was a boy, and it's not that I never denied it. I knew it happened, and it was, but I never told anyone, and it was like my little secret. And I don't. The boy, I love the brave boy that made those decisions. He didn't know what to do, and so when I was growing up, I was kind of not kind of, I was asexual. I didn't want, and then and didn't think about being gay. The last thing I wanted was let another man touch me, frankly, ever again. And fast forward to and I lived kind of my life, and um uh, I got married to a woman I really loved, and I could make a connection with her. I trust women more than I trust men. I have a joke, probably because of my sexual abuse, but I say, well, the only problem with being gay is that you have to date women. I mean, men. You have to date men, and that's like sometimes really not so. Men are not. My gender is not so great. Uh, you know, um, I think trans men are very brave. You know, they're very, very brave because our gender has a lot to answer for. You know, I believe that with all my heart. We have a lot to answer for, and so I kind of want to live my life more humbly because of that. I like being a man, but it's my mother who taught me how to be a man, so it's a different kind of man. And when I finally came out at 53, I went into a life healing center. I was a mess. I completely my life completely fell apart. And the first person through my journey um, that had a lot of time to alone and meditating and looking at my life and all of its pieces and fragments. And I always hated myself, and I really did. And I finally told I had a great therapist. His name was Brian, and he's the first person I ever said, Brian. And I remember because at that moment it wasn't painful; it was like joyful. I said, I'm gay. And it was such, I'll never forget that moment. And he had this, he's a straight white guy, but he's one wonderful, wonderful therapist. And there was this joy written on his face, like, Benjamin, like, I'm so happy for you. And, and then, so it been so weird, because then the first time I went into like a gay bar, I'm gonna check it out, I felt like a cultural anthropologist. I was like there present and trying to experience it and studying it at the same time. It was very strange, but I'm kind of like that anyway. I go to a movie and I'm analyzing it as I watch it. My mind never stops. It's a very busy place, this mind of mine. And I've finally learned to, that wasn't the end of the journey. I was just beginning to, there was difficult, I really got into drugs. I went crazy, and really had to go to therapy. Really, I was a mess. And that was after my mother died, who she was a lovely woman. My mom was, she's everything you kind of want in a mom, but don't rarely get. She used to say, she's a good Catholic woman. She says, I have a vocation to be a mother, and she did. She loved being a mother. She had 7 right in a row, so it's a good thing she did like being a mother. And she knew how to talk to people. And my father was not. My father was a good man, but not a good father. He left that to my mother mostly. And I had a joke with him. I'd say, Dad, when's my birthday? And he says, oh, God damn it, I don't know your birthday. And he gets frustrated. But I really do think that my mom taught me how to be a man. My father told me once, he was mad at me, and he says, you're just like your mother. And it's like, ooh, is my mom your enemy? You see the way he said it, And I said, well, and he said, a man is supposed to want to be like his father, not like his mother. And I said, but Dad, Mom's a nicer person. And he said, a man isn't supposed to be nice. He doesn't want to be nice. I said, oh, God. Like that, okay. But, my mom taught, she didn't care what we do in life. She didn't say like, oh, go be this, go be successful and, go to college and all that. No, she didn't care about that. She was interested in what kind of person you were. So her advice to me was, about 15, she says, there's only 2 things you need to learn how to do in life. Learn to be happy, and learn how to forgive other people. And I was 15, and I'm thinking to myself, no pressure, Mom, no pressure. That's all. But I have discovered in my life that the 2 go together, because you can't be happy if you don't know how to forgive people. You carry all that shit with you. And I learned a lesson from, I'm an ex-priest, and I have a friend of mine who's an ex-priest, and he's Catholic, and he goes to church. And I said, how can you be Catholic when the Catholic Church hates you? And he said to me, well, this is a large heart to say this. Just because the Catholic Church hates me is not enough of a reason for me to hate the Catholic Church. And I'm so moved by that large, forgiving heart that refuses to let other people tell him who he is. He wants to love whom he loves, and he will, regardless of whether they love him back. That's not the point. The point is to love and not just be loved back. And I really admire him. I think that is the meaning of generosity. And I think and it's, and to live your life with intent. So when I was old enough then, when I came out, there's a pluses to that too. That, okay, I'm not going to be a man like straight men are men, and I don't want to be a man like straight men are men. I get to decide what kind of man I want to be now. And we all get to anyway, but we just don't know it. We all get to decide that. And so I thought, what kind of man do I want to be? And I remember I want, it doesn't mean that I'm these things. That's what I want to be, and I work towards it. I want to be generous. I want to be kind. I want to be able to forgive. And I want to understand that my life is only makes sense in connection to the entire universe, not just other people, but the earth and animals, and we're all connected, and we are, and so and that connection can be horrible. White supremacists are connected to us because they hate us. That's a connection. It's a terrible one. It's a violent one, but it's a connection. And so our connections is going to be really horrible and destructive, or beautiful and that builds up, or somewhere in between. And to know that is to say, that's how I live my life, with knowing this is the background. This is what I work towards. What is my job on earth? I'm a writer, and writing is not what I do, it's who I am. But in that context, that means that I'm always in connection to my readers, and to everyone in the publishing industry that has to do with my book. I am connected to them, and I'm grateful to them. And there are no small roles here. Booksellers are important. Oh, they only sell my work to these workers on the side. Well, I value people's work, and I think we need to value people's work, and no work is better than others. My mom, when we were growing up, she cleaned houses, and I have had always generally housekeepers, and I love them. They do valuable work for me. I hate to clean. And they clean my house. They clean my mess up. I value their work. This isn't horrible work to me. This is valuable work to me. I value them. I value their as people, and as the work that they do, and I respect that. And I think it's anytime that I employ anyone, to pay them well. You know what? I don't know why people always are trying to, get something on the cheap. But you shouldn't get other human beings on the cheap. People who work for you, they make your life possible. When you hire someone, it's because you need them. They can do something you can't. So, pony up, baby. That's what I say.
Awesome.
Thank you, Benjamin. I'm trying not to get emotional, Benjamin, because I too am a survivor. And, it's interesting. Most of us survivors are creative.
Yeah.
In all of your books, you share culture, which is a beautiful thing from your heart. You also share vulnerability in this masterpiece of literature. All of your books have your imprint of vulnerability from your heart space. How do you do that? How do you channel, or how do you share your vulnerability so beautifully?
Well, I think it's easier because it's indirect. It is my vulnerability, but it's through fiction, and that helps. It does. But I always believe that in literature, I think our old standards of what literary was back in the day with the white males when they dominated all of American literature. It's like when I was taught when I went to school and as an undergraduate, this is what makes literature great: irony and subtlety. Those are not literary values; they're cultural values. I can be subtle, but not mostly. I'm not. I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's not subtle. And irony is, you can only take so much of it, because the opposite of irony is sincerity. And so, to be sincere is important in such an insincere world, and a lot of us aren't. I mean, we have a hard time being sincere. We don't give people compliments very much. Like I had someone I was in love with, and I didn't see him very often. When I saw him, he come in, I say, "Hi, handsome as ever," and he didn't like that. It was he thought he was just making fun of him. I wasn't. It's just that we don't give compliments. We don't receive them well, and we don't give them. And so it's hard to be sincere. And pull it off. And I think I pull it off through vulnerability. That in my characters, that they're hurt people, and they're not. It's not that they're not. They know they're hurt. They don't pretend not to be. They don't know what to do with the world that might hurt them more. So I write with. I told someone once that was really hurt in a relationship that he was done, and I said, if the only thing we learn when other people hurt us is to protect ourselves, then we're learning all the wrong lessons. And so I think it's important, you know, you want to be alive and love and touch people and be touched, and that's difficult. But so I write with that idea in mind, and I always tell my students that when I taught, if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't matter. So you put your hurt on that page. You find a way to do it. You make it real, because nobody cares. What people want to see when they read a book is they want to see your human heart struggle against itself, as Faulkner would have it. And that's what I try to do. You see their human hearts struggling against, and it's mostly against themselves, not against other people. You know, their hate doesn't really exist in my books. Not really. I don't want to give it a presence, or as little presence as I can.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. Would you mind sharing just a page or two from one of your works?
Well, I'm going to read a poem I decided. Let me see. From this book, The Last Cigarette on Earth. He, you, I. This August day, I take the morning and rise and touch the rain. A summer song coming through my head. I'd lost them once, the songs. I've lost them once, the songs I loved. I hadn't even motioned. I hadn't even noticed they were gone. They're back now, the songs. I have gathered them and gave them back to me. A gift to me from me. He lives in the Bronx, this man I know, and knows everything there is to know about rain and songs. He knows about flowers and everything there is to know about the laughing heart. Some days the living is easy. The last days, the forgotten hours, the raging nights have left for now. No one knows if they'll come back. There is nothing left for them to take. It was time for them to leave, and time for me to wake. I've looked at me as if I wasn't me, and I became a him, and I became a you. I've lived my days and nights in fragments, clouds, shards of mirrors I shattered, not wanting to use my own reflection, to see it, to know it. Now I'm gathering the pieces. Like crumbs strewn on the road, hoping to find my way back to Jerusalem. I carry these memories, a man blocking the sidewalk in front of Jimmy's Market who's looking up at me. All I need is a quarter to get home. Tony is sitting on the sidewalk in front of me. There at the Mesa Inn, his head hanging low, his eyes so dead that all the sadness is gone. Carlos is standing in the distance, texting on his phone with his crooked finger as he carries the eternal question. I ache to hand him an answer, all the while knowing there is no answer. I cannot give what I do not have to give. Gustavo is dancing on the bar, his hips gyrating, hustling for attention. Nobody hustles for cash. Not Gustavo, not Tony, not me, not Carlos. Gustavo is beckoning. Come be with me. He's dead now. The dying will never cease. I am sitting across from where I used to live. The house is empty. The lights are off. Gatsby's green light of hope has been snuffed out. I am in a march in Juarez, all the surviving young around me. They are jumping up and down and singing, El que no brincas chota, el que no brincas chota. I am jumping with them. I am chanting with them. I am watching a Tanzanian boy holding a banana leaf over his head as the rain falls softly on the East African ground. If only his innocence could save me. I am 25 years old and discovering the world. I am walking into La Basílica de la Santa Cruz in El Valle de los Caídos in Spain and wondering how many of Franco's enemies perished building this monument of shame. I am in the Louvre, standing in front of Garicles, the raft of the Medusa, tears running down my face. If only art could tame the cities of the world. I am knocking at the door of a homeless shelter for men in Kilburn and staring into the dark eyes of an Indian nun who wants to know if I have the wrong address. Marcel Marceau is walking across the London stage, his wordless art a strange condemnation. It is we who are the clowns. I am standing in Trafalgar Square. The cold and endless rain comes pouring down. I am warming myself in Joni's eyes that are as blue as the desert sky. An umbrella and her eyes, that is all I need. Somewhere there is always a summer. There is a dead man lying on the campus of the university, and I am staring down at his body. No one knows who he is and how he died. I am sitting in a wicker chair, smoking my last cigarette. How many quarters does it take to get home? Every day now, I drive 42 miles up and down the interstate. They are repairing all the bridges. They are repairing all the roads. I have never been a good driver. I brake and swerve, but here I am driving. Here I am this morning listening to songs. Here I am singing as if God had given me a voice. I don't give a damn if I'm singing off key. I'm singing. No one can kill this song inside me, not even me. The clouds are feeding the hungry soil with rain. I could live forever in this tender hour. He is here with me. You are here with me. And here I am, with me. All of us, here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we ask all of our authors this one last question. Is there future projects that you're excited that you're working on that you don't mind sharing with our viewers?
Well, I'm working on a young adult novel right now, and it's a really difficult novel to write. It's about a school shooting, but it isn't really about the school shooting. It's about the survivors. My 13-year-old niece was gunned down, and what it did to our family. It was a long time ago, by the way. Long time ago. She was 13 years old. She'd be 40-something now. And it devastated my family. What it does to families when you lose someone that way in a shooting. I thought my younger sister would never come back. All the laughter left her. It was a terrible time, dark time. It's hard even to talk about it. And when the shooting in Uvalde came about, I was just so intensely affected by it, just because this particular shooting, I don't know why. And I couldn't, and I went back, I had to talk to someone. And I thought, that's the thing, it's bad enough that these children are dead. But the survivors may not survive. Some people will not be strong enough to survive this. Many people will. And they will go on and they will have lives that are happy and they will be stronger, and other people will destroy themselves. It's hard to say. We don't keep statistics on that now, do we? But we don't. That's what I want to write about. This family that survives. Their mother is a librarian at El Paso High, and the two kids go to school there, and they survive the shooting. And it's about what they go through in that first year. And that's what it's about. It's not. I don't want to sensationalize about this, but I do want. I do think that people live there for a long time, and those people in Uvalde, many of them, because it's a small town and everything, they don't know what they're in for. The pain that they will. It makes me so sad. And I want to write this book, and I'm writing it, and it's called "When Will the Dead Awaken?" It is we who are the dead, and I want to write, and I'm writing this book, and it's told from the point of view of a 17-year-old young man and his twin sister, who's a very sensitive and beautiful soul, and their mother, the librarian, and their father, who feels sort of like, look what my family's going through, and I didn't go through it. He's an artist. And how he responds to all of this. And so it's about, it could be a novel about the dissolution of a family, but it isn't. It's a novel about how a family survives and loves, and their love becomes stronger because it will not be denied. And I always say that I write my books. All my books are difficult. Even all my young adult novels are difficult. But there's this one thing that I believe that the world conspires to take young people's hope away, and my job is to make sure they keep their hope alive. And so I write novels that give people hope, because if our young people, if our children lose their hope, we're lost. We need our young people to keep their hope and save us from ourselves. And that's why I write.
Awesome. Thank you so much for just sharing that story about this current project that you're working on, and just overall sharing your vulnerability and all the different lived experiences that you've gone through. And thank you for being here today. We appreciate you being here. And
I'm here because you asked me, and thank you for asking me.
oh, not a problem. And yeah, we thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and drop some links in our description of the YouTube channel for other viewers to see your work. And we appreciate you being here. And for those who are watching, definitely comment if you've read any of Benjamin's work and how it's impacted your own life. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks and take care.
Bye.